Now, when we're talking about sacred medicines, there are many that are out there that you can work with. You are opening the emotion that comes with those. Plant medicine is actually not for everyone. Experiencing deep depression, I was frustrated. I was taking everything personal. My anxiety was heightened. Allowing yourself to detox your system prepares you to digest the medicine even better. Welcome to At Home with Cha-Cha Mama. I'm your host, Cha-Cha Mama. This is a space of spiritual awakening, of coming home to your heart and exploring the physical, emotional, and spiritual realms. So today I'm going to share a little bit about my journey with sacred plant medicine and the healing journey and how it looks, not just for me, but for many as they're awakening. It could be through plant medicine, through breath work, through Reiki, through yoga. There are many ways of awakening. And this was a next level of awakening and healing for me. And this began for me in 2019. In 2019, I had my first experience with a deep medicine journey. Now, in high school, I had experimented with many things. After high school, experimented with many things, but not in the ceremonial sense. And in 2019, I got the opportunity to sit in a group of women to work with sacred plant medicines, and it changed my life. Now, when we're talking about sacred medicines, there are many that are out there that you can work with. As I began my journey, I had actually spent a year of researching and listening and exploring this option and knowing that it could change my life and help me with depression and anxiety. Now, when I had heard that, I really felt like, okay, great, I'm going to do this journey. It's going to help my anxiety and my depression. I was really stuck in a spot. I was really experiencing deep depression. I was frustrated. I was taking everything personal. My anxiety was heightened, and I was really unhappy. And I wasn't and had never really found success or maybe connected to the right therapist. And therapy is important. It is so helpful. If you're working with plant medicine, I hope that you're integrating and you have a therapist or you have an integration coach. So don't get me wrong, it is so helpful and important. However, it had not helped me in the way that I had needed. And I needed something different. Medicine wasn't helping. I wasn't even a fan of taking medicine. And as I explored plant medicine, was hearing different names. I didn't know much about it. I sat with a couple of different teachers and talked to them about the experience. Well, because I was on a certain medicine, I had to wait. And so I waited. And then an opportunity came along my pathway. A friend of mine was holding a journey space with sacred plant medicine and invited me along. Well, I had been looking for this. Of course, I'm a yes. I was so excited. And I even invited someone that I didn't know very well, but our partners were very close. And so here we go. We got in the car. We drove on this journey, got to know each other a little bit more. And we show up at this house with, I only knew one or two people. We had met the facilitator already and we're ready for this journey. So we begin in ceremony. You set an intention. The space is already set. The energy is cleared. The space is set for this intention, and we have our personal intentions. So we take this medicine and we go outside. And I have a blanket on the ground, and this friend of mine and I sat and we were talking, and this was the most open I had felt. I felt peace. I felt joy. I felt a connection to these trees who I was talking to them. I could see the spirits that had been in that house from those trees for a long time. And then as the night went on and I felt more open, I realized everybody should feel this. Now, I will tell you, plant medicine is actually not for everyone. If you're a no to it, be a no. If you're a yes, then I recommend you follow your intuition to the right facilitator for you, to the right medicine for you, because there are so many options. And so follow your intuition. And what I'm also hearing about that is Don't necessarily follow this one's less expensive. Follow your intuition and your gut, your instinct as to which journey is right for you, because divine timing is important. And this was the divine timing for me. I finally got to sit in a ceremony and experience plant medicine. And I had never felt so free. I wasn't worrying. My anxiety wasn't popped up. I was just being. And I remember staring at the sky, and I know that there were messages in the stars. I was looking at the spaceships go across the sky, but there was no worry. I was free for the first time. And I remember thinking that my clients needed this. And that was where my journey changed, where I had only been doing psychic medium and healing work with Reiki. This changed my pathway. And about 6 months later, less than that, 5 months later, I started co-hosting retreats with my teacher and holding space for others to experience plant medicine, as well as experiencing my own journey, continuing to heal with plant medicine. And I went on many journeys my first year, and probably too many. I would say for many people, once you start this path, you're either ready to go again or you hold off because it was such a big experience, you need a break. And I don't recommend going more than every 3 months, and sometimes every 6 months. So if you're one of those that loves it and wants to continue on, it's important to give yourself an integration break. And my first year, maybe my first 2 years, I probably did more than 4 journeys, maybe 5 or 6, those first 2 years. And I got into that 3rd year, and I remember having a really hard time that summer. I was experiencing a lot of grief. I was seeing a lot of past memories. I was looking at wounds and traumas that I had been through in my life. And I got kind of stuck down in a younger age where 8-year-old Jessica was hurt. Her friends weren't nice to her. She wasn't feeling good about herself. My confidence wasn't there. It was really young. And that part of me was not feeling safe. And so that part of me was trying to lead the show. And when we go through these awakenings with plant medicines, what can happen is we gain these awarenesses. While my first journey allowed me to feel free, many of my journeys showed me things that I needed to see about my history, about relationships, about traumas, about things that I've been through. I have even been able to see traumas observing them. I was able to retrieve information about how young some traumas may have happened. And that can be a lot of information. There are sometimes things stored within our body, within our mind, that we've forgotten, that we've blocked out. And when you explore plant medicine and you set this intention of, you know what, I want to feel peace in my life, it's very common that the plant medicine will say, great, well, let me show you what's blocking you from being free. And sure enough, there were many things that would come up that showed me why I carried certain emotions, why I am the way I am, why I have this anxiety, why I have certain beliefs. And as you explore this and you open this, you are opening the emotion that comes with those. So while it is healing, it's healing the body, it's healing the soul, it's healing the emotions, it is coming up and out. It's bringing you into these awarenesses, and we have to sit with them. So this isn't a golden nugget where it's like fixed and done. It is this awakening and opening and awareness. And it isn't always about trauma. Actually, sometimes it's about feeling love and joy, and that comes in as well. And also for some of us, if there's a trauma lying in there, it can bring it to the surface and you didn't know it was there, and you have to integrate that. You've gotten this new information that's actually been within your body for many years, and it's then integrating that part of you, that younger part of you. That 8-year-old part of me was heightened during that summer. And so I had to learn how to speak to her. I had to let her cry. I had to let her throw her fit. And that, I remember laying in my bed and crying a lot and being like, I don't like this, but it is a part of the awakening. It is a part of the journey, because that was blocked in my system. And as I let that move out, I was able to be even more at home in my body, even more at home in my life, building more confidence, because more confidence came after that. I think I had a bunch of TikTok videos after that summer. And so it allowed me to come home to myself. And also, was it hard? Yes. And this spiritual journey is not like this. It is a roller coaster. It's like a friend of mine stated this. He's like, it's like the Willy Wonka boat ride. It's like you're seeing these memories and they're hard to look at. And some are so sweet and so golden to remember. But also there's some that you're just not ready to see, but it's important. And you are ready. You are ready, because if it's coming up, you're ready. And also the integration piece that I keep bringing up is processing it through meditation, through movement, through taking care of yourself in certain ways, journaling, and also processing with a facilitator, with an integration coach, so that they can help you see it another way. Because sometimes when you're stuck in it, when you're stuck in the 8-year-old's not getting it. She is not getting it. But the 40-year-old or the 45-year-old gets it. The 45-year-old, it makes sense in the mind, but the 8-year-old, it doesn't. So having a facilitator or a coach or a therapist that can sit with you and process and say, hey, maybe that's a younger part of you that you need to nurture. And 8-year-old Jessica needed nurturing. She needed to feel loved. She needed her hand held. She needed her mom to rub her head and, play with her hair and say, it's okay, I love you. She needed to feel connected, like she had a friend, like she was loved, and she wasn't feeling that. And so journeying so much allowed me to kind of get stuck in that spot for a few months. And finally integrating and coming out of that brought me into even more awareness of myself, my confidence, and even my truth, standing in my truth, realizing that, wait a minute, I'm stable, I'm fine, and these things going on around me aren't okay. I was able to integrate and bring that part of me, that 8-year-old, I welcomed her back. I often say working with plant medicine is soul retrieval. You are retrieving these parts of yourself that when you went through the trauma, you went through an event, when you went through a certain process, your soul fractaled off and stayed here. And so as you go through plant medicine and you're looking at these blocks, they start to open. You asked for this intention. This is the block. It's opened. We are calling that soul piece back in. We have to integrate her. And so we're integrating her back in. Now she's a piece of me again, and I can talk to her and she can be here with me. And I've called that piece back and I can step back into myself. As we go through this, we can often become more of the observer rather than getting caught in the energy of life. We're able to be more responsive rather than reactive. And also, it's not perfect. It is an up and down journey. I'm actually in a pre-journey process right now. So I'm recording this a week before I head to Peru for a deep journey with a shaman working with ayahuasca. And I've been pre-journey. I've been waiting for it. But But this week has been a really hard week. And this hard week, it just actually hard in doing my daily job. And I have needed to cry, to scream, to be mad. And I said to my friend, I shouldn't feel this way. And he said, what do you mean? It sounds like pre-journey to me. Well, I knew that. But also, I didn't want to feel this way. And it's bringing up these parts of me that I need to look at, that need tended to, these belief systems. It's belief systems coming up that I have about myself that aren't real. And it's been actually not just this week. This belief system has been coming up for several months. And I've been looking at it and acknowledging it and really having to tend it through the past few months and telling myself, that's not true. That's not true. What's true is you are loved and you are doing and following your soul mission and your soul work. And so here we are pre-journey. And so let's talk about the journey process. There's this pre-journey process. There's the actual plant medicine journey, and there's the post-journey process. So the pre-journey process, as soon as you sign up for one of my retreats, your journey begins, meaning belief systems, awarenesses, traumas, emotions start to come up and show themselves to you. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's triggered by work or a friend or a loved one. And it triggers this emotion and you start to remember old things or wonder where is this belief system? And so that journey begins as soon as you sign up for a retreat. So I've been signed up for this retreat for some time now, but now that 2 weeks before, it's hit me a little bit more. It's really coming in for me to look at, for me to journal, for me to meditate, for me to be aware of, hey, this pre-journey process, this process of what's coming up is going to help me continue to set my intention for the ceremonies that I'll sit in. And so then the journey, the ceremony, the plant medicine experience is only really 50% of the process, if that. The pre-journey is like 5 to 10%. You got your 50% of your experience, and then the post-journey. The post-journey process is 45% of the process, and that can last a lifetime. I heard this in the beginning. I'm still integrating processes from journeys that I had 3 years ago, which didn't fully make sense to me, but it's true because those things that we were healing in journey 1 show up again in my life, in my awareness, in my meditation, in my emotions, in my journaling that I need to process again, because healing is like an onion. We're peeling layers. So while I have this big trauma and I peeled a layer, actually the next year I'm peeling another layer because it's a bigger trauma for me or for someone. And so some traumas are one and done, or some experiences one and done. Great, learned it, moved on. I'm good with that. And sometimes it comes up again because there's another part. It would be too much to have given you all of this at once, Jessica. It would have been too much to show you all of that. We just wanted to give you a little bit and let you integrate that. So sometimes there are other layers that need to unfold. And so through the experience, the actual plant medicine experience could feel like joy, laughter, dancing, playful, fun, free, awesome. It might actually not make sense at all. The post-journey process is where you start to make sense of what happened in the journey. And that doesn't mean I'm making sense of this visual of a spider or a jaguar that I saw. It's making sense of the emotions that are coming to the surface now, because that's also, while you can get memory recall and awarenesses in the journey, there's also a lot that can come up after the journey of memory recall that can be very surprising. There can be days where you need to just sit and not do anything and emote, and you might not even know why. And sometimes it just is stored emotion that needs to release. This last experience that I had sitting with sacred medicine just a few months ago, I guess it's been several now, but I went in with an intention, and it was a 2-night experience with grandmother medicine, ayahuasca. And she, well, I set the intention. I said, I'd like to know why. Why do I carry this weight? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for what I eat, how I live my life. Like what am I carrying? And I went into the first night, and immediately that was the first thing that came up. Almost like, great, there it is. Can we move on? And so I processed what I had been carrying. And by the way, it wasn't mine. It wasn't actually mine that I was carrying. This weight that I had carried was not my trauma. It was trauma from my mom and my grandmother and what they had experienced. This generational trauma that I had carried for them, that I had heard about, some I didn't know about. But that night, I grieved it. I grieved for them. Like I grieved what they experienced. I grieved that they didn't have somebody to process with. They didn't have a support system. And my mom in particular didn't have that support system fully to hear what she had experienced. It was really guarded. It was really hidden. And I was, as a child, as a teen, especially late teen, really her person that she did share a lot with. Now she had other friends, and she was very close with my cousin and loved her brothers, but there was a lot that she shared with me that was it was a lot to hear. It was a lot to carry. And it wasn't just that I had heard it from her as to why I carried it. It was passed down through birth, through the lineage, through energetics, through DNA. And that night I grieved for them and was so sad that she didn't have that support system. And so I sat in that journey and was her support system and just listened to her and was so grateful for that time, but also so sad for her. And what a powerful thing that I got to see. And it was amazing to me that ayahuasca's like, here it is. Are you ready to move on? And that next night was amazing. The second journey, I had never felt that amount of love in my life. The amount of love that I felt really put into perspective what was available. I've never felt that for myself. I never allowed myself to receive that. And a lot of the relationships that I was in my life didn't allow me to understand love that way. I had beautiful love from my parents and my siblings and friends and relationships, but this amount of love, I will never settle. I will never settle again. That amount of love is beautiful. And it is the amount of love that is available to us all through ourselves. If we can contain that amount of love for ourselves, whoa, it would change the paths we take, change how we show up in life. And that was really hard for me to receive. And that was one of the most beautiful journeys I had ever felt. And it showed me what was available. Plant medicines changed my life. After that journey, I feel like I had a really great process after that journey. It was a pretty gentle post-journey process and was able to feel more myself again, where I had been looking at parts of myself that I actually wasn't really liking, parts of how I'd respond or react that didn't feel normal for me or part of me because I had been in so much energy with other people. I was feeling theirs. It was showing me parts of me that I wasn't real fond of. And I was seeing where I was feeling it, like attaching, this energy was attaching to me in my daily life. So this also allowed my energy to really cleanse physically too, because as you move into a plant medicine journey, it's important to look at your your dieta. What are you eating? What are you drinking? What are you taking in? And I don't just mean through food and drink, but also the mind, also in our sexuality, like what are you abstaining from and what are you taking in that is good for you as you move in and prepare yourself for the journey, which is part of the pre-journey process. So abstaining even from cannabis and allowing your body to regulate and get ready for this journey process. Really, you're in an adjustment if you're a regular cannabis user for anxiety or depression and you're utilizing it properly and you pause from that, there is an adjustment period and things can start to show up for you and bring awarenesses in. And if you're used to a lot of sugar, a lot of coffee, allowing yourself to detox your system prepares you to digest the medicine even better. It's also a commitment to the medicines. And the medicines are a consciousness. We aren't just taking a supplement. We are communicating with this sacrament and saying, hey, thanks for working with me. I'd like to know this. I'd like clarity. I'd like to feel peace. I'd like to heal my anxiety and depression. And you've communicated with this spirit medicine, because in shamanism, everything is energy and everything has a spirit. And so this spirit, this grandmother spirit, I told her this information and she gave me the message back through the journey space. And then after, you're still working with that spirit of medicine and continuing your journey on. So working with plant medicines and the consciousness allows you to be open to so much more. We are opening our awareness to other dimensions, to the consciousness, to the oneness, to being open to our own evolution and to our soul path. We're able to connect to our higher self. There are so many medicines that work differently, and the spirit of the medicine is able to guide you to what you need to see, feel, or know. And then the after process allows you to really bring in that integration. In this pre-journey process, while I'm feeling big emotions, or I had a few days of that, I'm feeling really more, I'm feeling a lot more stable in my emotions, a lot more awareness of the belief system. So that process was able to show me a little bit of my belief system, a little bit of what I need to look at coming up in this journey. And I know that this next journey will have a lot in it for me, and I can't wait to share when I get back. I know there will be a lot that comes up because these experiences are so impactful. And not only am I going to experience the medicine, but this different culture and different people I don't know, and some that I do, but a lot that I don't. And this will be a whole journey in itself. And so working with plant medicines, working with these spirits can be life-changing. When I began this journey, I began knowing that I wanted to heal my anxiety and my depression. And through this process, over the many years that I've been working with sacred medicines, I've realized that my depression is energy and trauma that has been stored within my body, that I am not clinically depressed, that I have depression that arises from stored emotion in my body. This emotion needs to come up and out so I can release it. And sometimes it feels sad. Sometimes it feels anxious. Sometimes it feels crazy. And it is for me to release, to let go, to honor it so that I can align even more with my higher self, with my soul, and with my soul path. And so that I can continue to hold space for others. It is an honor to hold space for someone who is in a deep journey process, speaking with their higher self, their loved ones, watching this process of things that they've been through and holding their hand, holding their hair, holding, just the energy of the space, feeding them good food, nourishing them while they explore these other realms, these other dimensions. And some of these medicines can feel very earthly. I love working with earth medicines. Wachuma is one of my favorite. Wachuma is a grandfather medicine, San Pedro. It is very much a present medicine. You can be very present in your body, but also very open in your awareness to this grandfather patient, grandfather energy, just ready to share when you're ready. And it can be very internal, and it can be very much one that you feel really good in community with as well. And being in community, sharing space in a retreat with other individuals is beautiful. Going through this experience together, although solo, like you're in your own process, but you're also in community experiencing this medicine together, there's a bond that happens there. Even if I never talk to you again, and sometimes that happens, I make this bond where, we've really connected in retreat, but I might never see you or talk to you again. But that special moment, it is a bond. It is a connection. It is bringing us into oneness and showing us community is safe. Community is safe. It's needed. It's important. And I love holding community space, whether it be the sacred medicine of cacao. Ceremonial cacao is a beautiful heart opener. And I love bringing people together, opening the heart, the bridge between the lower chakras, the physical chakras, and the spiritual chakras. It's the bridge opening those two, but it's also where our soul peace connects. And when we open that, we're also opening grief, we're opening memories, we're opening love. We're opening so much here, and also opening the other chakras, aligning our chakras, that heart space. Being open in that heart space, in community, in meditation, in breath work, in a sharing circle is so impactful. And you can actually download my free cacao ritual guide from my website, thejessicatanzel.com, and you can do your own cacao ritual at home. And also you can come join me for a cacao ceremony. This would be where I would start with plant medicine. A gentle, non-psychedelic, powerful plant medicine that brings deep awareness, deep opening into the soul, into the earth, into the connection is such a sweet way to start. And knowing even in a cacao ceremony, when you sign up for that ceremony, there's a process before, during, and after. And being gentle with yourself, meditating, journaling, breathing, taking some salt baths, walking in nature, finding ways to still connect with the spirit of Mama Cacao before and after, setting your intention before, being curious before and after, asking questions, being curious, journaling what came up for you, but connecting to this mother spirit that is so gentle, so loving, and wants to guide your heart open. I highly recommend ceremonial cacao. It's a beautiful medicine that has been used for thousands and thousands of years, from the Aztecs, the Olmecs, to really communicate, to open the heart and communicate. Husbands and wives would use this before they would communicate. And if they were going through an argument, they would open up their communication with cacao. Ceremony leaders would use this as a way to communicate. This plant is grown, it is harvested, it is made with intention for ceremony. While it's a great medicine for the body, you can get it as a supplement. It's got an amazing amount of iron and magnesium, antioxidants. It's very healing for the body. It lowers the blood pressure. It thins the blood. It is so good for us. It's good for everyone. And also some are made as supplements, but the ceremonial cacao is made with intention to bring into ceremony, whether you use it at home in your own private ceremony or you're using it in community. It is organic and it is grown and made and blessed with intention all the way through. And I love, love, love working with that medicine. She is a beautiful, beautiful hand-holding, heart-opening guidance in my life, in our community here in Louisville, Kentucky, And I love sharing her with you. I hope you'll come sit with me with ceremonial cacao soon. And if you're in another location, if you're not here in Louisville, Kentucky, there are some beautiful teachers in other cities that are working with ceremonial cacao. And you'd be on the outlook for some online options of sitting with ceremonial cacao too. What to look for when you're working with ceremonial cacao. When you download my guide, I do give some options on where to get some cacao that you can utilize at home. I do recommend that you're working with a company that is connected to the indigenous culture. This is really a way of giving back. Maya Cacao is a really great company, a cacao source, cacao lab. They are giving back to the communities that grow the cacao. And that feels so important, is to give back and honor where it's come from. There are some cacaos that are not just made on the farms. They may have been made through machines, and that does matter. While they are wonderful supplements and have great nutrients added, sometimes that machine that the cacao goes through, it can change the energy of it. And this is a spirit. So a lot of times this is made through, this cacao pod is grown on these trees. These trees grow for 100 years and they harvest for 30 to 40. And as they stop harvesting, the young trees are grafted to the older trees to carry the knowledge that has grown in this earth for thousands of years, and it carries it on to the young trees. And as we pluck the cacao pod and it's open, these beans that are in the pod are fermented and then roasted over a fire. And on this plate where the fire has 3 rocks underneath it, so around the fire, and one for the moon, one for the sun, one for the earth. And these are roasted and then shucked by hand and then ground into a paste. And that paste usually travels to the facilitator, who then chops the cacao, blesses the cacao, and makes that cacao into a drink that you are able to drink in ceremony. And you're setting your intention with Mama Cacao through that drink, that ceremony, and then blessing your body, opening your awareness, and connecting with spirit in a new way with this medicine that has been with us for thousands of years and has been used in such sacred ways. Now, here's the thing. Ceremonial cacao was not always used in the ceremony the way we do it now. I've studied with several teachers, and these teachers state that it is important to share the culture. It is important to give back. It is important to understand that we, in our culture, in their culture, they did not have ceremonies. And as long as you are honoring the medicine, honoring the culture, it is okay to share and participate in cacao ceremonies. But it was used differently. Actually, cacao was really seen as a gift to warriors who went off to war. This was like currency and such a sacred tool that not everyone got to share. And it was really seen as such a blessing and such a gift. And now we have this opportunity to share it more. But it was different. The culture was different. And now you'll see it in ceremony. You'll see it in different ways, but it's really an honoring of the culture that's very important, and a way of bringing us back into community, back into oneness, and back into peace. Our world's in a weird place. It's a weird place. There's a lot going on. We're in a place where things are kind of crazy, but it is shifting. Things are tearing down to rebuild. And when we come into community, whether it be with ceremonial cacao or not, we are coming into community, we are coming together, and we are rebuilding what this world can be as we love and trust and support each other in a way of just being encircled together. Well, that's just the beginning of my journey with plant medicine. I know there are many pieces there, But as I come back from this journey, I'm sure there will be some things that I'll share. And I'm looking forward to sitting with you all again soon. Thank you for joining me here at Home with Cha Cha Mama. And much love, my friends. I will see you soon.